So, kära Habeck, there you got the Swedish at least. Ladies and gentlemen, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, ich freue mich sehr, den deutschen Vizekanzler heute hier in Stockholm zu begrüßen. Die Verbindungen zwischen Schweden und Deutschland sind sehr stark. Deutschland ist Schwedens wichtigster Handelspartner. Unsere beiden Länder führen die Entwicklung in Fragen der technologischen Innovation, der Wirtschaft und der Industrie an. Es gibt auch starke Beziehungen zwischen unseren Völkern. Wir beteiligen uns gegenseitig an kulturellen Angeboten, Filmen und Literatur. Wir lassen uns von denselben guten Werten leiten. Und das möchte ich dem Vizekanzler übermitteln. The Vice Chancellor and I just had a very good meeting. It was way too short. We could have spoken a lot more. But a good meeting where we discussed several different topics related to our excellent bilateral relations and the Swedish presidency. The ties between our countries remain very strong. Today we agreed that the EU's long-term competitiveness is an area that needs more attention. Our industries are under heavy strain due to high energy costs, supply chain disruptions and inflation. Moreover, Russia's unjustified invasion of Ukraine continues to have far-reaching consequences for EU businesses, and the recent US Inflation Reduction Act causes concerns among our industries. There is an urgent need to address these challenges for businesses and households, and at the same time make sure that the short-term solutions contribute to a resilient and competitive union in the long run. Our ambition is to put a Swedish and hopefully lasting mark on the long-term competitiveness agenda, because the only way for the EU to be able to afford the cost that these challenges pose is by having a globally competitive industry. Yesterday, the Commission presented its long-awaited response to the US Inflation Reduction Act. The Green Deal Industrial Plan aim is to enhance the competitiveness of Europe's net zero industry and support the fast transition to climate neutrality. We discussed the communication and the need to facilitate investments in clean technologies, but also the need for better regulation, more energy production, and the shortening of permit process in order to strengthen the business case for the green transition within the European Union. One part of the communication is the Critical Raw Materials Act. The file is a priority for the Swedish presidency and has the potential to be an important tool for EU's competitiveness and resilience. And given the huge demand of raw materials, we need to facilitate the supply of sustainable raw materials, both from primary and secondary sources, are indeed very important. We will need it all to have functioning, sustainable and resilient supply chains. Since last year, Europe has experienced very high and volatile energy prices like never seen before. This has been driven by Russia's unlawful invasion of Ukraine. We both believe that the conclusion is very clear. We need to phase out our dependency on Russian fossil fuels as quickly as possible and focus on security of supply. All good powers unite. Alla goda krafter behövs. We will need more electricity even when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. And over the last year, we have adopted several emergency measurements at EU level. We have responded in unity, and we both believe it is crucial to maintain this unity in the steps ahead. Today, we have also discussed the upcoming proposal on a revision of the electricity market, which together with any legislation related to the energy crisis will be a priority for the Swedish presidency. And finally, obviously, we've discussed some of the other proposals in the Fit for 55 package, and as presidency, we will make a real effort to finalize as much as possible of these proposals so that we can reach our climate and energy targets, not least since they will have a long-term impact on energy imports, climate, and security of supply. And I'm very much looking forward to an open and close dialogue in the coming months. I'll stop there, and dear Robert, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Minister. Dear Ebba, ladies and gentlemen, I start with some words in English, then I switch over to German for the German media, but I'm glad also to answer questions from the Swedish side in English. So, once again, thank you very much for the warm welcome, and thank you very much for having us here. We met in Brussels when you just became minister, and you invited me to come to Stockholm, and this was great. All the best and a good hand for your presidency. I think it's very, very important that you lead us, that you lead Europe through these difficult times. It's a lot of work ahead of you, but I'm sure that you will manage it and cope with it. When we met in October in Brussels, it seems like years or even ages ago, because the times, yeah, well, welcome to my life. Because then, at that point of time, the energy situation in Central Europe and in Germany especially was very, very tight. Just to repeat it and to bring it back in mind, when the war, the aggression, Putin's war on Ukraine started, Germany had a dependence of Russian coal of 30%, Russian gas of 50%, and Russian oil also. Of coal it was 50, gas it was 50, and oil it was 30. And now with oil we are independent, with coal we are independent, and with gas we are independent. And this was not to be foreseen in October. It was hard work, and yes, we paid high prices, and Europe had to pay high prices to get away from Russian fossil fuels in 10 months' time. Is really an achievement, but the prices are now going down. We have almost full storages, gas storages in Germany, and we at least have the hope that also over the summer we see a relaxation of the prices in the energy market. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, die schwedische Präsidentschaft wird in sehr schwierigen und fordernden Zeiten übernommen. Noch einmal, ich wünsche das Beste und den größten Erfolg für diese 6 Monate, die vor uns liegen. Wir müssen bei den offenen Fragen beim Klimaschutz vorankommen. Rückblickend muss man sagen, dass die tschechische Präsidentschaft einen hervorragenden Job gemacht hat. Es sind aber noch Files offen, und wir sprachen darüber. Es ist hoch auf der schwedischen Agenda, die letzten Klimaschutzfiles im Paket von Fit for 55 abzuschließen. Deutschland unterstützt gerne dabei und ist immer für das höchste Ambitionsniveau in all den offenen Fragen. Das sind die Industriefragen und die Frage der Sanierung von Häusern allen voran. Im Zentrum unserer Diskussion stand vor allem die Frage, wie wir mit der internationalen Wettbewerbssituation für die grünen oder sauberen Energien umgehen. Das ist immer verbunden mit dem amerikanischen Inflation Reduction Act. Wir stimmen völlig überein, und das ist die ökonomische Partnerschaft, die Schweden und Deutschland über die letzten Jahre aufgebaut haben, dass der Wettbewerb, ein offener Markt für eine Wirtschaft, aber auch für eine Gesellschaft den größten Vorteil bietet. Und dass Subventionen und regulierte Märkte in der Regel zu höheren Preisen und zu Wettbewerbsnachteilen führen. Aus meiner Sicht ist es allerdings so, in einer Zeit, wo Energiepolitik eine Sicherheitsfrage geworden ist und wo die Welt mit hohen Subventionen darum kämpft, ihren Anteil an der Energieproduktion der Zukunft, an der Energieproduktion der Zukunft aufzubauen, muss man das Pragmatische tun. Und wir müssen es schnell tun. Wir haben bei solarer Energie eine Abhängigkeit vom chinesischen Markt von über 99, fast 100%. Wir fallen oder drohen zurückzufallen bei der Produktion von Elektrolyseuren, Wasserstoff, Windkraftanlagen. Und das darf aus 2 Gründen nicht passieren. Europa muss im internationalen Wettbewerb ein eigenes industrielles Gewicht behalten. Und zweitens sind diese Produktionsformen Voraussetzung dafür, dass wir auch sicherheitspolitisch souverän bleiben können. Deswegen unterstütze ich und begrüße ich die Vorschläge, die die Kommission gemacht hat. Ich würde gerne 3 Aspekte besonders hervorheben. Der erste ist, dass die Verfahren, die Notifizierungsverfahren in der Beihilfe schneller und zügiger entschieden werden. Da geht es noch gar nicht um mehr Geld. Es geht nur darüber, dass das Geld, das auf dem Tisch liegt, auch ausgegeben wird und nicht 3 Jahre lang auf dem Tisch liegt. Dann sind die Firmen weg. Der zweite Punkt ist, dass wir nicht nur, wie es bisher üblich ist oder nur möglich ist, den technologischen Fortschritt fördern, also nur da, wo noch keine Märkte da sind, sondern mit Blick auf das, was ich eben ausgeführt habe, die hohe Abhängigkeit, die wir in bestimmten Techniken haben, überwinden müssen, auch die Breitenproduktion fördern, jedenfalls für eine begrenzte Periode, bis wir diese Kapazitäten aufgebaut haben. Auch das ist vorgesehen und das ist möglich. Und drittens, und das finde ich interessant, ist in dem Papier auch ein Vorstoß, dass man auch über Steuervergünstigungen arbeiten kann. Im Moment arbeitet Europa vor allem so, dass Zuschüsse gewährt werden, also direkte Gelder, und über die Höhe wird dann immer gestritten und verhandelt. Die Kommission eröffnet jetzt einen Weg, das auch über steuerliche Abschreibungen oder Superabschreibungen möglich zu machen. Und das könnte ein effektiverer und schnellerer Weg sein, wenn dafür, und so verstehe ich den Kommissionsvorschlag, auch die Mittel aus dem bisherigen Programm Repower EU zum Beispiel verwendet werden können. Dann scheint mir hier, sagen wir, der Umriss einer sehr starken und robusten Antwort auf den amerikanischen Inflation Reduction Act zu liegen. Vielen Dank.
So, yes, now we will open up for some questions, and the languages are English and German, and we have translation as you know. So, please go ahead. Maybe we can start with the gentleman in the middle here.
You can always try as in other languages, but we might get into trouble. And ich verstehe ganz viel Deutsch, aber mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. So if I get one word wrong, and we'll have a diplomatic crisis.
So I try my best in English. Sorry. Do you share the fears of some European countries that Germany, as a big player in the EU, might be, if it comes to benefits, giving benefits to companies, if Germany might overrun the market and sucks everything out from every other market, and then everybody's left alone with these having nothing in their hands when it comes to develop renewable energy markets.
You're planning on sucking everything out of?
Definitely not.
No, but I mean, as I said in my introduction, Germany is a very important trade partner to the Swedes, and they're an important member state within the European Union. And as President during this term, it is of utmost importance for us to be able to provide an efficient presidency to listen to all of the member states. And we hear that there are different views and opinions on how to take the European Union through this quite challenging times. But I'd like to make a few statements on this. I think in terms of what is happening within the United States, I think that we should be positive that the US is now again involved in a global climate work. The European Union and the US, we need each other more than ever on both sides of the pond, given this very difficult security situation that we're all in. Having said that, obviously the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, really poses a serious risk of distorting the level playing field. And I think that there is quite a strong and increasing opinion within the European Union, that's at least what we're hearing, that the best way to respond with this is not a trade war with the US, it's not a subsidy race with every single member state acting on their own, but the whole point of the European Union, what was the point when we founded the European Union, to give united and strong and more effective joint answers to difficult questions. And that is what the Commission is now trying to do with the Green Deal Industrial Plan. And it was just presented yesterday. Now it's our job to listen in, to hear what the responses from the different member states are. But I think there is a way to find a smart, selective, and united answer to the Inflation Reduction Act on behalf of the European Union. I mean, the Germans have been very clear on the need for increasing the competitiveness through the green transition and not sitting on our hands and just stand on the sideline watching a high risk of a distorted level playing field. And I have great respect for that. And I think we're on a good way of at least trying to find that joint answer.
Well, I can only add that I think that this is well addressed from the Commission side, because that the answer is that we need a common funding also on the European level for the states that don't have the financial power for themselves. And otherwise it can't work. If you can only give allowance to the countries that have enough money or are willing to spend enough money and the other ones are out, this is not going to work. But this is well addressed, using the money that is in the funds and transferring it to whatever they bring out or we bring out in the future.
We have the gentleman here in the front. Here.
Hello, Jens Schurau, Deutsche Welle. You are planning to build perhaps a new nuclear power plant here in Sweden. What's that part of your discussion with the minister from the Greens in Germany, with Robert Habeck?
I think there's a great respect for one of the European Union's most fundamental parts, and that is that the energy mix and what the energy mix consists of in each single country, it really is strictly a member state competence. And we have respect for the path that Germany has chosen. Obviously, we support Germany's decision to keep the remaining nuclear power in operation over this winter to ease the situation for Europe's energy supply. But we have great respect for the long-term decision that Germany has made. Speaking on behalf of Sweden, we've decided that with our very high set climate goals, with the heavy investment that we're doing in the green transition and still trying to increase our competitiveness, if we are supposed to sort of answer that million-dollar question, is it possible to have high set climate goals and at the same time a stronger economic growth and welfare? In that mix, the way forward is electrification of our transport sector, of our heavy industry. And then we've just reached the conclusion we need both renewables and nuclear power. So in Sweden, they don't stand against each other. We're switching the goal that we used to have of 100% renewables to 100% fossil-free, because we have now drawn the conclusion that we will need to at least, I emphasize, at least double our electricity consumption by 2045 if we are to reach those high set climate goals. But once again, it is up to each member state to decide on the energy mix themselves. But this is the conclusion that Sweden has drawn.
We have a question in the back there, yes?
Eine Frage an Robert Habeck, die schließt sich da direkt an. Sie haben ja gerade gehört, was Ebba Busch erklärt hat. Schweden ist ein sehr technologiefreundliches Land. Die Finnen setzen auf die Kernkraft in Zukunft. Die Schweden setzen auf die Kernkraft in Zukunft. Wie haben Sie Ebba Busch erklärt, dass es Deutschland ohne Atomkraft in Zukunft schaffen wird, seine Klimaziele zu erreichen?
Shall I answer in German or English? I think it's also interesting. English is better for the Swedish colleagues?
The German, please.
In German,
The
then I
translation,
say it
yeah.
first in German and if needed also in English. In Deutschland ist die Entscheidung getroffen, dass wir auf der Basis des Ausbaus der Erneuerbaren 80% der Stromproduktion in 2030 erreichen wollen. In 2030 werden wir, wie Ebba gerade ausgeführt hat, auch in Deutschland einen höheren Stromverbrauch haben, weil Electric Vehicles, E-Mobile oder auch Wärmepumpen immer stärker in den Markt kommen. Das ist aber schon mit berücksichtigt. Also diese Zahlen beziehen sich auf die dann benötigte Menge von Terawattstunden. Die werden ungefähr bei 700 oder 750 Terawattstunden liegen. Wir sind heute bei 580. Wenn man 80% dieser Summe mit volatilen Energien bereitstellt, Wind und Sonne, braucht man, um die verbleibenden 20% zu schließen, hochflexible Kraftwerke, die eine große Kapazität schnell bereitstellen, aber eben nicht dauerhaft laufen. Und das ist der Unterschied im Energieverständnis. Schweden baut ein Atomkraftwerk. Schweden hat auch starke Wasserkraftwerke, die dann dauerhaft quasi grundlastfähigen Strom liefern. Wir werden sehr zeitnah die Ausschreibungen starten für Wasserstoffkraftwerke. Also wir bauen auch neue Kraftwerke parallel zu dem Ausbau der Erneuerbaren, nur eben Kraftwerke, die zu unserem Energiesystem passen, die hochflexibel gefahren werden können, die klimaneutral sind und die damit dann die Lücken schließen werden. Und so wie die Ministerin ausgeführt hat, Europa ist geeint in den Zielen, aber durchaus unterschiedlich in den Wegen, sie zu erreichen. Und im gewissen Sinne ist das völlig in Ordnung und auch ein Wettbewerb zwischen den Energiesystemen, wenn man so will. Und die Energiesysteme müssen zu dem Land jeweils passen. So, shall I repeat it in English or have you been able to understand it? I can, yeah.
The short version, but then otherwise there are
Yes,
translations.
there is a translation.
Yeah.
So they have translated. We have time for one more question, the last question in full group, and then the ministers need to leave. I think Minister Busch will stay a few more minutes. You're welcome back. Yeah.
She's staying, I'm out.
Coordinator from the German Business Weekly. Mrs. Busch, you stressed competitiveness to be the core of your policies, and Mr. Habeck in German said we need more subsidies, not only in new technologies but broader industries. So I see a big difference between your policy and his approach. So how do you try to bridge that gap, or you say, sorry, we disagree?
No, but I think that I mean, of the four priorities that the Swedish presidency has set for this period, two of them are green transition and competitiveness, and the way we see it, they're highly interlinked. And I really see that Sweden and Germany has in many parts a joint view on this, and we also share the same view that it is important to find a joint answer within the European Union, but also seeing the reality for what it is. This is a very challenging time for a lot of our industries, for a lot of our businesses, and given the way the US has decided to respond, we need to find a way to answer to this, but that also increases the long-term competitiveness of the European Union. We now really have the presidency hat on us, and obviously we hear the hesitations from multiple member states in regards to easing the state aid rules, and that it could lead to further joint borrowing. We're hearing that. At the same time, I think there is a way forward, and should be easy for quite a few member states to also see that the lengthiness of the processes that the Vice Chancellor was addressing earlier on is a big problem, and it also is in decreasing the EU's competitiveness. I think there is a way forward here, finding a joint and united answer for the European Union. We just got the proposal from the Commission, and now we will see what the discussion and the different views from the member states will be in the upcoming weeks. Many member states have also asked for more analysis of the effects of the Inflation Reduction Act on the European market. But I think there is quite a strong view and support for making sure that we're not standing on the sidelines here. We need to find a joint way forward. So I think that there are good opportunities for bridging the differences that might come clear for the different member states.
Okay.
No, I don't want to, but I have 5 more minutes.
Yes, you have 1 more minute.
5.
Very
5
good.
more minutes. Okay.
Very
so
good.
But
So-
this is only to not
Yeah.
let her talk alone.
Okay, so then
or at
maybe
least
one
hear what she's saying.
Swedish journalist, then go ahead.
So this is a two-parter for Habeck. Uniper, soon to be owned by the German state, owns and runs reactors in Sweden. First of all, should Uniper invest in new reactors in Sweden if it would be profitable? And also, should the German state, through Uniper, own nuclear reactors at all, both in the short and long run?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to answer on this because we have a division in Germany where now the Minister of Finance has the responsibility for Uniper and we for the former Russian Gazprom Germany company. Now it's called CEFE. So due to the merge control regulation in Germany, I have to be very strict on this. So unfortunately, I can't answer the question. No, it's not a joke, actually. It's not a joke. You have to ask Christian Lindner.
So the very last question.
We checked. I know that it's really. I'm not joking. We checked that this question. We knew that this question was going to come. So therefore, we checked it out before. And this is just the law I'm quoting.
So this is the last question then. In the back there, please.
Yeah, it's a question for Minister Busch. Can you give Northvolt a little push that they build their plant in Germany and don't go to the US?
Without subsidies.
No, but I think that there is a homework to be done to make sure that the competitiveness and the attractiveness of making long-term and heavy investments within the European Union, whether it be in Sweden, as Northvolt already has done, and companies such as Northvolt, or whether it be in Germany. And once again, there is a reason why we are putting competitiveness as such an important part of the Swedish presidency's priority, because the European Union's agenda has been so highly colored by Brexit, by the pandemic, by the awful invasion of Ukraine, and then the energy crisis. We need to find a way to also make sure that we have time for the long-term right decisions and getting back to the basis of the single market, especially since we're celebrating 30 years of the single market this year. And that is making sure that we lower the regulatory burden of our companies, making sure that the different processes that we have for licensing and permits and so on, that those timelines are heavily shortened. But I mean, we see reality for what it is. I have ongoing conversations with businesses and industries every single day. We know that they are making their calculations now on where to put their investments. And that's why I think it is a very important signal that the Commission presented their Green Deal industrial plan yesterday, and that it is important that we move forward in finding a united and smart response to the Inflation Reduction Act, making sure that more companies see that for a very foreseeable future, things are looking bright and things are looking green within the European Union. And just a quick comment on the issue on nuclear power and I mean, Sweden has gone shopping for new nuclear power plants. So any actor that has interest in Sweden today or would like to make heavier investments in the future, they're more than welcome. And that's the sort of very general approach also in terms of Uniper. And there you have at least a short comment on that issue as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to come to Stockholm today, dear Robert. And we have a lot of important and pressing issues on our agenda. Some of you have noticed that we've also taken inspiration from the way that you've sort of arranged some of these issues in terms of business, industry, and climate issues in Germany. And that's part of why we've rearranged our own department structure here in the new Swedish government, bringing climate, environment, energy, technology, business and industry together, and really showing and leading the way in showing that you can have green transition, taking climate change very seriously, setting high goals, and at the same time paving way for new jobs within the European Union and our countries. So thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you very much, and all the best for all the long future and also for the next 6 months as president for the EU member states. Thank you very much. Ebba?
Vielen Dank.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.